And we're delighted to have with us Chris Kowlong Ao. And Chris is probably familiar to many people who watch these broadcasts because you have been involved with Sound Espressivo
That's right. Yeah.
almost since the beginning.
They had the first competition in 2020, and somehow I think they did an Instagram ad or something and caught my attention. I applied, and the great thing I found was that because it was all online, they had a green room, which is, replicates the real experience of, performing. Then they moved you into the real stage and you performed, and there was no time limit. I ended up winning a prize, first prize in the ambassador category. And then after that, they asked if I would judge, the next competition, 2021. And during the judging process, the student was late. And so Fedor Ospensky and Anno and I just chatted for about an hour until the student turned up. And during that conversation, somehow they just realized, hey, we should have this guy on board. We should just, hire him and have him, host programs, do things with us. And I was back in Sydney at the time during the COVID era and everything. And I found it was just, I needed something to do. I needed something to make me feel as I'm still part of the world. If you're in Australia, Sydney for that long, you feel like you're isolated. And so I joined the team and I haven't looked back since. It's been an amazing journey. It's 2023 now. And so I've been with them for 3-4 years. It's remarkable.
Well, that's interesting because this project, Sound Espressivo, was born during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's called Virtual Concert Hall.
Yeah.
And that is for that very reason. It's to help young performers who are isolated at that time, give them a stage.
Mhm.
And it's a world stage,
Mhm.
but you don't have to leave your own studio.
No. And I love what they're doing now where they kind of having a hybrid model, which is you do a lot of the auditions online. And it saves a lot of the competitors money from traveling and doing all these auditions all over the world. You audition online, they have a great tech team that makes sure, the sound is good, the video is good, lighting is good. And then if you win a prize, unlike when I applied, you actually get to perform live on stage and in Carnegie Hall with orchestras around the world. It's just, I love what they're doing. I really believe in it.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your background. You were
Okay.
born in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And you moved to Australia. Now, did you begin studying the piano in Hong Kong?
No, I moved when I was 5, and then I started sort of group lessons in Australia, actually. I think my mom wanted me to have this sort of holistic, education. And so I was doing a bunch of sports, a bunch of different things, Kumon, but also piano lessons. And I don't think I really fell in love with it until much later. Not because I didn't have good teachers or anything. It's just there was so many other things I was doing, and Mum was put a stress on schoolwork, academic stuff, and I was spread out through. And I think in the end, I think that's what is important, that I wasn't just specializing in piano. And so when I'm doing this role as one of the hosts, one of the scriptwriters, and I'm doing social media managing and everything, it allows me to relate to people in a different way, not just at the piano or at the instrument. Yeah.
And how old were you when the first lessons started? You were in Australia, maybe 5 or 6?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We moved, and pretty much within a year, I started these group lessons. And
Now, somewhere along the line, somebody must have noticed that you had some gifts, because in 2020 in Texas, you were winning competitions, and you've won quite a few competitions. So when did you yourself sense that maybe you did have a gift?
I think I never really sensed whether I had the gift. I realized when I was around 12 that I could listen to pieces of music and play it on the piano. And I wasn't trained in it, like this perfect pitch thing. I really wasn't trained in it. And somehow I just we had a school anthem. And I went home, hey, this is what the school anthem sounds like. And then I played it for my teachers at school, and how did you know that? And that was when I started to realize, hey, I have an affinity with sound and the instrument. And then later on, I think I changed teachers. And that's when this teacher really drilled in a lot more basics, fundamentals, and got me to apply to competitions. And then after high school, I decided to take a year off, which I do recommend because for me, being from Sydney, I hadn't traveled to Europe really. I hadn't seen the world. And so I went to Germany, went to Luxembourg, and I played in master classes. And I not only got to travel there, but when you live in a small town in Germany for almost 2 weeks, it opens your eyes to the people, the culture. You're not just seeing Paris or Berlin for a few days. You're really living there and dining there and seeing the people, meeting the people. We stayed in this town called Bad Betrich, which is known for being close to the Moselle River. So I tried German wine for the first time. By the river, we had this river cruise with a tasting. And a lot of us got really tipsy very quickly. And it's a small town known for the baths. People would go there for the sort of baths, right, for healing qualities, etc. That's foreign to us, in Australia and even in Hong Kong. We might have the hot springs in Japan, but yeah, so it opened my eyes to what's bigger, and I think I got the bug then. I was like, I really need to see the world. And the teacher there, John Perry, really took a liking to me in my music making. And the rest is history. He's still my teacher. I still play for him. He's a good friend.
You mentioned master classes when you were on that tour. What were those like?
Those are really...
How did you get into them?
Through my teacher in Australia.
I see.
So my teacher in Australia has these international connections, and she was like, you gotta go and play for him. Go and play for him. And the amazing thing about master classes is that there are students watching, and you can also watch other people as they get, roasted or just inspired. And I think what was amazing about that experience was that I got to hear really high-level playing, and then I got to really experience high-level teaching of that sort of playing. It's one thing to have a lesson at the level you're at. it's another thing to hear the second branch concerto and then hear a lesson on that and realize, wow, I have so much more to learn. And these concepts, these things that may not apply to me yet, this is what I have. And then John Perry also gave an amazing recital there. And that was the first time I heard of a concert where, I don't know if you have the experience, Steve, it's like time just passes by so quickly. You know, this concert, I felt by the end of it, it was maybe 20 minutes, you know, and I was just so enthralled in the world that he was creating with his music that Schumann Fantasy, Chopin Sonata, they just flew by and I loved it. So, yeah.
Right. Every masterclass, I'm not a musician, but that I've seen, whether it's in film or in person, the teachers are almost, I can't think of an exception, are very wonderful. They're very gentle. It doesn't matter how much the person needs to be helped. They do it in a very, very gentle and a very friendly way. I noticed they'll ask if it's a singer to sing the whole aria, and then they'll come back and say, you know, that was really, that was so good. You know, I think though, have you had that experience too?
Absolutely. I think in our day and age now, these master classes tend to be more cordial and there's a lot of politeness, and that's very good. I think that these are master classes, you get maybe half an hour with this teacher, and usually master classes implies that they're a master, so they're, you know, really good at what they do. So what I find inspiring is when, yes, there's a lot of, oh, good job on this, beautiful playing, but what I find inspiring is when they really dig deep into, hey, I'm not hearing this, I'm not hearing that, and I think you have more to say, and they nurture the artist to do things that are maybe beyond them, but they push them to another limit. And you can hear this in all the great master classes, whether it's the character in the music, whether it's like, I know you can do it. I remember the first time I played the Chopin Ballade for John Perry, it was in that master class, and I was scared, so frightened, and he was really going hard on me on a certain passage. And then I was trying it, and I kind of managed to do it, but not fully. It was something in the slow part of it, like something beautiful with the accompaniment and the sound and the harmonies. And it was beyond what I was, you know, my hearing, my listening, the inner ear. It was beyond that at the time. And at the end, he said, I wouldn't be pushing you this hard if I didn't think you could do it. And that stayed with me since. Yeah. You know, that teachers and great pedagogues are meant to push just a little bit more. Maybe not, you know, in a brutal or harsh manner, but in a way that just gets you outside the comfort zone. And then people watching, or even yourself, you just feel, whoa, something is inspiring and achieved there.
That's a beautiful story. So, what are some of the highlights from this year's gala? We'll get back to the Sound Espressivo. We just have a minute or two left. What are some of the highlights to look forward to in the gala tomorrow night?
Well, Jennifer Wang's playing an incredible Saint-Saëns No. 2 concerto with the New York Chamber Players Orchestra. I'm playing the third movement of the Beethoven Fourth, which is a delight, an absolute just joy of a piece. There's all this drama. There's moments of just serene peacefulness, and then back into it again. And there's a joy to it after the whole journey with the first and second movement. This third movement just there's a regalness, and there's a little kind of canon in there where you can hear a little glimpse of the Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. You can hear just a little glimpse of it. And so I find this to be this Beethoven-esque worldliness, this humanist side of him, where it's the joy of humanity. There's hope in humanity, and I think it's a great way to play with the orchestra. And of course, there's many brilliant performances. I'm also playing with a wonderful singer, Mary Claire. She's doing an aria from Menotti's The Consul, and I can't wait to rehearse with her, work with her, and it's a brilliant, dramatic 9 minutes. But yeah, it'll be really great.
Well, we're looking forward to that performance and your performance.
Thank you.
To everything. It's an exciting night.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Steve. A pleasure.
Pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.